we can start cutting and placing the cookies onto the pan that also has parchment paper. I use parchment paper that is pre-cut, like I said, but you may not be able to find it, but you could. Just maybe go to the baking aisle, go to where foil is, because I don't know how every store is, but at your store either go to the baking aisle or where your foil, plastic wrap, or whatever is at. Okay, I'm going to keep kneading the dough with my fingers. Yes, I'm pouring more flour onto it. And don't worry, if it starts, the flour and the cookie dough starts spreading from each other, that is totally fine. You can just add a tiny bit of liquid to get it all back together, but that usually doesn't happen. Well, it can happen, but you can also just mix it back together. I'll mix straight back together then. Yes, you'll get cookie dough on your hands. Once you put flour on it, it'll fall right off. I'm going to add a little bit more flour in the places that don't have too much flour, that need flour, just so I can move it. I'm going to fold every edge in like I'm just doing. And make it maybe into a ball, like mine is turning into a ball. It maybe starts sticking and unsticking from each other, but that isn't right. We're going to flatten it again. We're going to rip up from the edges, pull them up. Yes, the parchment paper is moving. That's what that sound is. Then we're going to fold it in again, and mold back together just in case it is falling apart. And just because I have a towel underneath, it's just because I can spill the flour off the parchment paper. And that is to prevent it getting on the counters. But if it does get on the counters, you can just easily clean it up by a paper towel and that stuff. Paper towel, washcloth, whatever you need to clean it. And what I'm saying, it does not take a lot of skill to make these. It's just, I have to do this because it is not fully, it's still a little bit sticky, but as you see, it's not sticking to my hands as much as it was because it has so much flour inside of it. Well, it doesn't have too much. It just has as much flour as it needed to not stick. And in a minute, I'm going to start placing it onto the thing. It does look like there's still flour, but you can still mix it in, or once you bake it, it will go away. But what I'm going to do right before cutting it out, the things, I might roll it out, but I might not, because you want them to be a little thick. But you may need to keep re-rolling it and replacing it and things, just so then the thing can knit the cookies, or if you're just rolling it, then don't mind it. You just rip a piece off. Okay, now I'm going to dip my utensil that I'm using, and is this a watermelon thing that makes balls of watermelons? I'm going to dip it in sunflower oil so it does not stick to the dough. You're going to cut it a few times like you're cutting a watermelon or something, and then it just looks really shiny because there is sunflower oil in there. You're going to get the dough. You may need to place the dough back into the thingy just so it gets into there. You might need to flatten it a bit, but you need to get it perfect. My pans already have parchment paper on it, so that part I'm good with. And with these, you could add more. You can add a little bit of sugar on top. And that's what I do with sugar cookies, chocolate chip cookies. And with the cookies I'm assuming you're going to be making, I am going to start putting it on the pan. You can put 3 in a line, but if you have bigger, you can put more. It also depends on the size of the cookie dough ball on how to place it on the pan. I'm doing it in 3 each row. There's going to be 4 rows on each. Yes, I'm going to need more than 2 pans. Like I have 2 pans out right now, but I'm going to definitely need more. So I'm going to have to keep walking at the camera to put it on the other side in the other living room. Just so we have the pans ready. And like once, I'm also going to be walking out when there is cookies in the oven, but I know they're in the oven, and I pay attention to the time. And I go out of the kitchen when there is still time, but then I come back when there is still time, so that I'm ready to pull the other ones out and make more. So, you are going to make 4 rows of each on each pan, or if you have bigger, then go ahead and make more on each batch. But I only have ones that can fit 4 rows and 3 in each row. But that is alright because I have multiple pans to use. And you may need to squish down the dough inside the thingy. And maybe even after, like, not even after a whole batch, you may need to, like this one I had to re-roll it into a ball. Not perfect ball either. But I'm going to have to dip this back into the sunflower oil, play with it again, and then dump it out. Make sure all of it's out. You don't want the sunflower oil tasting in your mouth. And you're going to drop them more into the sink. And right after this batch, I'm going to have to re-roll it because I don't have much space to cut any more out. And I'm going to put these in the oven I'm going to put the timer for 12 minutes, but these may take less, may take more, depending on the cookie type. I'm going to put on for 12 minutes. But it may need only 8 minutes because that was my chip cookies last time I made them. But these are chocolate chip cookies, so they may take just a little bit longer than before. Yes, be careful with this because the handle, like mine, was hot. I'm going to set these in very nicely. Then I'm going to place the oven light, start the timer. You will have to keep an eye on these because I may finish at 8 minutes, 12 minutes, or more minutes. Because not all are the same. Like the recipe says 12 to 16. I usually have to do 8. I know not 16 because I did my first batch with 16. And that burnt and made the cookies hard. Well, it didn't really burn, it just made the cookies really hard and were not chewy. Okay, those are in the oven. You can start on your next pan if you would like. I'm going to set it right here so then I can show an example. And if the chocolate chips fall out, you can just stick them wherever you think there is not chocolate chip or you don't see one in there. I'm going to start on this one now, a next batch. I only put one in so it's easier to watch the cookies and do what I need to do. Like putting one batch over there while another one's cooking and also getting one ready at the same exact time.